Rakestraw, the junior from Duke, in her first final ever.
And she starts up on top on the 10-meter with an inward 2.5 somersault pike. So she's going to face backward, rotate forward toward the platform with straight legs and a bend to the waist. So, good, powerful jump off the tower. She's moving in the right direction, a little bit soft in the knees, and it over-rotates. Satisfactory scores for that. Ends up with almost 50 points.
Seem about right?
Yeah, that's about where the judges should be in that piece, I think. Top divers maybe almost as close to 70, 68 or more, depending on the dive.
Emily Grund coming up next, the redshirt senior from North Carolina. We've seen her a few times this week. This is her third final. She was 5th in the 1 meter and 3rd in the 3 meter.
So this is Emily's forward, not the top platform, but the 7-meter platform. And she comes out and could reach out a little more. Probably going to still be net satisfactory, not quite vertical enough to be higher. Depends on each diver. They can, what their comfort level is. Higher degree of difficulty on a lower platform. The international standard is that you're doing all your dives on the 10-meter platform on the highest levels.
There's Isabel Gregerson from Florida State.
So Isabel's backwards presses up to the handstand there, but she's not quite in a steady vertical balance, and the judge is going to deduct for that because she's not vertical in her handstand, and then it over rotates as well. She shows great control, but it's got to be vertical.
Now, our first look at Grace Courtney, the freshman from Notre Dame, her second final of the week after finishing 8th in the 1 meter.
Also on the 7-meter platform, but look how small she is in her tuck and comes out and puts a great entry on it. Those are going to get those good scores.
Bradescu, who hails from the UK, was 5th in this event 2 years ago. Also an NCAA qualifier.
So this is a back 2.5 somersault pike on this 7-meter platform. Other side where you see her get in and get small and come out, look back for the water and go in super vertical. Nice dive. And then
it's a good first rule.
And you provide all of the energy to go along with it. Yeah, so you have to get everything started, and the trajectory you leave the platform is going to determine what happens at the end.
Freshman from Duke in her first final.
Josie also starting with a 405 BD. She rotates towards the platform. You see her feet flex as she goes by. They go right back to pointed. The judges will see that and take off maybe a half a point from their score. So maybe not the good, top of good or very good, but right in there.
All right, here's the story of the evening in diving. Arantxa Vasquez Montano from North Carolina, already 2 wins this week in the 1 meter and the 3 meter, going for the hat trick and the sweep of the diving events. It would be the first time in a decade and a half a swimmer has accomplished that.
So I like her jump off the platform, and she does a little of the same thing, those flex feet as you go by, but nice, great entry going in. You see that view from the back. She's got her legs apart so she can see the water coming up and go in vertical. Nice scores again.
And her big challenger this evening, Elsa, the native of the Netherlands, who goes to Louisville, the junior, and was 2nd in this event last year.
So it's going to be good. It's going to go 7s or better, I think. It could be a little bit more up off the platform, but I like that she's got good hand sound and that rip entry, just a little sliding past vertical and splashy.
All right, so 1 round down, 4 still to go in the platform diving here from the ACC Championships. The start for Emily Rakestraw, the junior from Duke. And again, for people not familiar, or at least who don't watch all that often, that 10 meter is like a several-story building.
Yeah, I mean, you're jumping off basically a 3-story building. This is a forward 2.5 with a full twist. She does it out, somersault first, but again, it's a little late coming out. It over-rotates, so you end up in those scores inefficient to just on the borderline of satisfactory.
3-story building and the gravity, just incredible. How fast are they going when they hit the water?
About 30 miles an hour about when you get there, but you come to an abrupt stop quickly.
Emily Grund of UNC.
So this is a very nice inward 2.5 somersault tuck. Again, here's what we can see from this angle, right? It's a little bit, to me, turned sideways, but you can also, some of the judges will see that she's a little split with her legs in her tuck. They do deduct for that. That's why it's in that satisfactory range, and you see the difference in the scores.
Top for Isabel Gregerson, third in the order, a sophomore who comes from Colorado in her first final.
So this is a back 1.5 somersaults with 2.5 twists. So you see her a little bit of lean at the beginning there on that, and crosses her feet, tries to come out and see the water and reach out, ends up a little bit short of vertical. And all of that happens.
And this is the first diver we have seen on the 5-meter, Grace Courtney from Notre Dame.
So this is a back 1.5 somersault pike, so a little easier degree of difficulty. But, you know, Notre Dame does not have a platform in their pool, so they have to go elsewhere to train. So that certainly puts them at a disadvantage. I like the out here, and it's nice and vertical. Still can do some good dives there.
Anna Bradescu from Georgia Tech, who has the highest degree of difficulties with her dives here this evening.
It's a big one. So you see her doing inward 3.5 somersault tuck. You see many of the men do that same dive at 3.2. Split knees, flat feet in the tuck, so the form's not quite there. And that flection's there, and a little short of vertical, and not all the way straight with her body.
Josie Zillig, the freshman from Duke, native of London, in her first final.
She did a very nice job with that. A little back on the end of the platform and gets it moving away. She can be deeper in her pike. The knees are a little soft, but she's still going to get 6.5, 7, kind of that right on the borderline of satisfactory to good scores.
Now coming up next, Arantxa Chavez Montano from North Carolina. Platform champion 2 years ago here at the ACC Championships, and also competed for Mexico at the Olympics in Tokyo.
So you're going to get really good, powerful. Look at her jump off the platform where it goes up. Now she's a little bent with her knees and flat with her feet, but she comes out and puts a great entry on it. That's why you're going to see scores in the very good range and a big total.
Yeah, that's a huge total. She loves it. She sees the numbers.
Love that.
Applying the pressure to Elsa of Louisville, who was just outside the top 10 at the World Championships last year.
And this is a new dive for Elsa from half somersault tuck again, 3.2. It's moving well, little flat feet, and just a little late unfolding and reaching to the right spot. So she reached a little under, washes over just a little bit, but good scores.
Well, that'll do it for the first 2 rounds. Round number 3 underway with Emily Rakestraw.
So she's got a good, powerful jump off the tower, but it goes a little down, but she finds vertical at the end. So this is a hard one for the judges because you kind of see maybe it's not quite good, but it's almost. So right where they are, it's satisfactory. Makes sense.
The 10-meter is so extreme. How do divers work up to that? And is there some kind of criteria that is used before they start jumping and diving from there?
You know, and you can start at pretty young ages. They try to keep the kids that are under the age of 13 off of the 10-meter platform, but you're doing kind of these lead-up skills, like even this one that Emily's doing there is a back 1.5 somersault pike. That's a lead-up for a back 2.5 somersault pike on 10-meter. And not everybody is built to do 10-meter. You know, here a lot of these divers, some of them are doing platform because they're trying to score points for their team. Emily, probably not her favorite event on platform, but still up there for her team trying to represent.
Isabel Gregerson from Florida State.
So this is the first reverse spinning dive we see, facing forward and rotating back towards the platform. And what you see is that you've got that you're looking straight down at the water there and try to extend it just a little too far forward and out early, and it ends up being short of vertical. Not really where you want to be as far as the position, so you end up with some deficient scores in that 3.5 range.
The 10-meter, because there's a lot going on. The height, the speed that you're falling, so many moves that are being incorporated. It's a busy dive.
Yeah, you got to start with being able to do the skills on the side. You see there's a small 1-meter platform right down there in the back. That piece where you're doing even the flips in those pieces is a back 1.5 somersaults with 1.5 twists. You see it kind of move a little sideways and not quite be square, but still pretty good. But we're getting the benefit of seeing it from the front. The judges are seeing it from the side.
Back to Bradescu of Georgia Tech.
So I really like this dive. I think right as she gets into her pike, you're going to see the knees bend just a little bit, and then they get back to straight. And look how close her chest is to her legs. And then vertical. Could be cleaner, but good job.
Two divers from the UK, Bradescu won, and this next diver as well, the freshman from London, Josie Zillig, who goes to Duke.
So she's going to do a back arm stand, but a twisting dive as well. So she's going to do handstand first, kip, do a somersault, and twisting action going backwards 1.5 times, and then go in the water. So there's a lot of moving parts here. So I want to talk about those elements of the dive, right? We're talking about the approach and the takeoff. The handstand is part of that. So she gets up, she doesn't show that steady vertical balance. The judges will deduct for that. And because that's the dive you're doing, sometimes they'll deduct a little more.
Is that a function of just trying to get into the dive sooner, or just losing your balance and feeling like you got to go?
It's you know, nerve-wracking. You're facing backwards, pushing your hands up there, going into a handstand, and you got to get there and show control. But it's a function of both. Of I got to get it going, but I also got to show my position.
Now Montano.
So I love the takeoff. Again, we're really powerful and small. We come out at our spot, leave our hands down and look back, but we reach a little bit past the entry, so it washes over a little bit. But still, so many things technically correct. That's why it's in that high satisfactory to low good scores.
Final diver coming up here in round number 3. Third final.
And what I would say is that this one wasn't quite as powerful on the jump, but where she gets out is a little sooner, and she gets a better entry. Still just sliding over, but scores some more points there, picks up a little bit of thing.
But still so tight at the top, hard to tell which way it's going to break. 2 rounds left to go. First up in round 4, Emily Rakestraw.
So I like her jump. She's got her head back a little bit for my liking in this takeoff. I'd like to see her get a little stronger kick and leave her hands down so it stops a little better on the out before she looks back and reaches. That would make it stop a little bit more vertical, but that's still solid dive.
Now Emily Grund, who's been a great story. Richards, senior from North Carolina, missing last year as she was battling cancer, now in remission, back for this year. And here in this final, her 3rd final of the week at these championships.
I've known Emily for as long as I can remember, 11, 12 years, and she's always brought that same smile. This is a reverse 1.5 somersault tuck. Again, from the 5-meter tower, a little lower degree of difficulty, but well executed, so she's still going to get 40+ points on a dive that was a little lower degree of difficulty.
Isabel Gregerson making the long journey from her home in Colorado to go to school at Florida State in her first final.
So we've seen a couple of these before too. This is an inward 3.5 somersault tuck. She's going to face backward. She's going to rotate 3.5 times towards the platform in the tuck position. Knees bent, grabbing down low on the ankles, trying to get as small and compact as you can in that tuck. And that's a super takeoff, but she starts to open up a little early and just comes up a bit short. Got to get to vertical to get paid in the scores that you want.
Grace Courtney, the freshman from Notre Dame, in her second final, after also finishing top 10 in the 1 meter.
So this is Grace's only dive on the 10-meter platform. It's an arm stand, forward 2 somersaults kite. So this is one that, as a judge, I sit down and have to really think about, because she showed really good steady vertical balance and gets it moving, but then it's a little short, and you want to reward the good handstand and that control and start, but you also have to then take off for the short vertical and short entry on vertical on that. That's what Coach Bradshaw's there saying to her in the background.
Anna Burdescu, who was 5th a couple of years ago from Georgia Tech, here also into a handstand.
So she's got 2 big degree of difficulty dives here. Again, we've seen this one already. It's the back arm stand twisting dive. She goes 2 somersaults and 1.5 twist. That's going to score 7s, I would say, or better, because she does a beautiful handstand, presses up, shows great control, shows vertical balance. It's a little bit slow as far as just didn't show quite the pike down position, but that's, I like that dive. I'd go 7, 7.5 for me.
And her fellow UK native, Josie Zillig of Duke.
A little lower degree of difficulty here. The reverse 2.5 somersault tuck on the 10-meter at 2.8. So, very solid jump. It's going in the right, good direction. She grabs a little high underneath, so it's a little open in the tuck, and then she unfolds and arches her back and drops her legs just a little bit. So it ends up being that not really tight entry position into the water.
The ongoing battle for the top of the standings between these last 2 divers in round number 5. Arantxa Vázquez-Montano still on pace for the hat trick in her 3rd victory of the week. But a slim lead.
And you're going to get a nice combination here, because you just saw reverse 2.5. You're going to see 2 more right in a row. And this is what I'm talking about that kick, look, reach action that she does. It's a great, powerful jump, small tuck, and she kicks out, hands her down and looks back and drills it. And that's going to be big. Love that. 875 points.
Gonna love those figures. And next up is the diver to hunt her down, trying to chase her mark. Elsa Prasterink of Louisville. The junior who was 2nd last year, 2nd right now. 2nd to last dive for her tonight.
almost as good. A little bit of a wiggle coming out where she just flexes her feet, and it's not quite as clean on the entry, but it's still very good.
A lot of eights, and now going down to the wire. One more round left to go in the platform diving. On to this lead through one more dive, she will sweep all three of the diving competitions. But not home yet. Elsa Prastarenko, who will be last here in this fifth round, still has a shot with Rakestraw getting it started.
So Emily's doing the back arm stand 1.5 twister again. A little bit over, but a good handstand, showed some control. Just got to work on trying to finish that entry, maybe falling quite so far before she kips off the tower.
Emily Grunt, her final dive of the night. The redshirt senior completing her career.
And again, very well executed. That's going to get high execution scores, 7.5, 8. Lost her feet just a tiny bit, but again, making the most of what you're doing there.
Here's Isabel Gregerson, final time through for the Florida State Seminole.
You can see Isabel measuring off her steps for her forward 3.5 somersault tuck for her approach to the end of the tower. I like the takeoff, and then she just gets a little bit of movement through her body as you go in, and you see her come out and unfold and get a little arch in her lower back instead of getting vertical and holding that shape and kind of rolling through the water. So it's just taking a few points off there.
And that will take us to Grace Courtney, the freshman from Notre Dame.
That's the entry you're looking for. Now, I actually thought she was even a little over, but look at her hands. She gets on the water, makes that rip sound, and just pulls her hips in and does a quick pike save to pull the water down underneath her.
Now the first of the two UK divers, Anna Bradescu from Georgia Tech. Again, she's had the highest degree of difficulty here tonight. NCAA qualifier each of the last 2 years.
So this is a back 2.5 somersaults with 1.5 twists. And it's a good takeoff. We could get deeper in our pike after we do the back 1.5 somersaults with 1.5 twists here, and then we get in, but the knees are a little bent, and then we reach under and let it go away from us a little bit. Keep it in satisfactory.
From Duke, the freshman, completing her first final. Her first year for the Duke Blue Devils. And then it's the battle for the win coming up between the last two divers.
Josie's final dive is the same as we just saw from Anna. It's that back 2.5 somersaults with 1.5 twists in the pike position. And that was even better. It's going to get good scores. A little bit of push away from the platform and loses her feet, but again, that's the entry. And just enough to go. That's going to secure her a spot in the top 3.
All right, now Arantxa Vázquez-Montano from North Carolina. This dive to try and win all 3 diving competitions this week and sweep the dives at the ACC Championships for the first time in a decade and a half.
So she's going to do the forward 2.5 somersaults with 1 twist. In the pike position, she does hers out where she does the somersault first. And that's a very solid effort. I like it. We like it the right direction. She comes out, legs are apart, and just slightly short of vertical. But again, do you want to be chased or do you want to put it out there? She's put herself out there. Now it's up to Elsa.
Elsa Prasterik of Louisville, the native of the Netherlands, final dive of the... And it all comes down to this. The only one who can unseat Montano at the top of the standings, but she needs her best performance.
And that was very good. I'm not sure it's going to be quite enough, but look, best effort, good in, gets out, and she just crushes the entry. A little bit of water. Didn't quite get there.
So it is going to be a clean sweep for Arantxa Montano. First diver to complete a sweep at the ACC Championships in 15 years. Wow, what a moment. We'll talk with our winner after this huge accomplishment when we come back. There is the winner, Arantxa Montano of North Carolina. 3-time winner this week. First time the dives have been swept here at this championship in a decade and a half.